Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into another episode of the Media Buff Guys. I am your host, Matt, and today with me is just Lane. Say hi, Lane.
Hello. It's very quiet in here. Just
Yeah,
two people.
it's just us two today because everyone else is either sick or working.
Yeah.
Losers.
Yeah. It's just death becomes all of them in a weird sort of way.
Yep. And as you know, this is the podcast about anything and everything media related. And now a quick word from our affiliate, Maono. Maono is one of the leading companies in budget-friendly mics and audio interfaces. So if you want to sound as good as we do, go check them out. Uh, they usually have deals going on, and you can stack our 10% code with code word media buff. Uh, and yeah, that's pretty much it for them. Moving on.
You're supposed to say you're supposed to be able to get 10% off with our
I did
code.
say that part, I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I don't know.
And if our listeners don't know that by now,
It's true. Yeah, that's
true,
true.
but also, it's
But
whatever. Moving on,
back on track.
back on track. Now, this episode, we are going to talk about a band that Lane and I both like a whole lot, and that would be none other than AFI, and that's an acronym for A Fire Inside.
Yes.
Okay. So, now AFI is a band from Ukiah. I think that's how you say that. Yeah, Ukiah, California,
Yukai. I think it's just Yukai.
or Ukiah.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah, probably somewhere up north.
Mm.
They have gone through many style changes over the years, leading to people having their favorite era of AFI. The band's current lineup consists of lead vocalist Davey Havoc, drummer Adam Carson, bassist Hunter Bergen, and guitarist Jade Puget. Davey and Adam are the sole remaining original members, starting out as a skateboard punk band, uh, and then leading into hardcore punk, then transitioning, into a horror punk slash emo, and somehow went into a Joy Division gothic post hardcore band, where other bands have tried and failed with their own drastic style changes, alienating half of their fan base. AFI still managed to be successful with the evolution throughout the years. Oh, man, that's a lot to say all in one breath.
Well, you did it. You did it. So.
Yeah, okay. But, yeah, and these guys have been around forever.
Yeah, 1991 to now. They're
Yes.
still going. So,
Yes. And they officially came out in 94 with their very first album, Answer That and Stay Fashionable, which was just a skateboard uh, punk record, and it was released on Wingnut Records. Oh, how about you talk about that for a little bit, Lane?
um, well, you had the whole thing written out. I was just gonna let you go for it.
Okay, you're gonna let me go for it?
I don't have the spiel pulled up in front of me. I just have like the Wikipedia pages. But
Okay.
no, yeah. So that was our first album. What?
Yeah.
Answer That and Stay Fashionable. By Wingnut Labels. Yeah, that was like the only thing they did by that. Um, and I think they had a couple good songs off of that. Um, I think they did have a video for one of their songs.
Probably.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember watching it and I was just like, they have those suits on. Um, that they have, and it's very just like them in suits with like sunglasses. It's very like mobster kind of
Yeah.
vibe to it. Um,
I
it
think I
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't one of my favorites, but like I said, it, I don't know, all of their their 90s albums are really good if you like that hardcore punk, that like angry punk sound. Um, they're great for that. And then it's just so interesting to see. It's just like a slight transition, and then it just
Hmm.
like switches completely to something else. And
Yeah. Um, Speaking of that music video, I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about because like I think it was supposed to be like Reservoir Dogs.
yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of.
I think that's what the music video was based off of. But now, um, and you're going to see a pattern here with AFI as we get into this, all right? And that is they would continue, being a just like a standard punk band, with their following album, "Very Proud of You," and it released in '95 on Nitro Records. But they would start their evolution as a hardcore punk band in this album as well.
Yeah, and fun fact, the Nitro record album, like not album. Why did I call it an album? Jeez. That's not what it is. So that record label, that was actually started by man, I just had it right here. Oh, I lost it. Anyways, I think it was started by the lead singer of Offspring.
Huh.
Yeah.
It seems
I had
like
it pulled up on this damn Wikipedia page and
it,
then I
it,
lost
it
it.
sounds like that AFI and Offspring kind of are like hand in hand a lot of things.
In the early years, yeah,
Yeah.
they did like well, we'll get to it, but
Yeah, we'll
he's
get to
done
it.
like some guest vocals on a few of their tracks and stuff.
Yeah. And then yeah, and then I would say when they released their third album,
Hmm.
which yeah, the third album, Shut Your Mouth and Open Your Eyes. And that's when they completely transitioned into like the hardcore sound that from the early days. And that's like the pattern you're gonna see with AFI is like like they're gonna release an album, it's gonna sound a certain way, and then the next album they're gonna start to dabble in a new sound that they want to go with. And then by that third album, it's gonna completely like transition into that.
Oh, I see. Hold on one second.
All right.
So, oh, Wingnut Records was the record label that um a member of Rancid, um Tim Armstrong and Brett Reeds, they were part of that. So that I think that's kind of why
Okay.
they did like a whole kind of sound like that.
All right. And
Anyways, moving
then
on.
yeah, and then also with this album, Shut Your Mouth, Open Your Eyes. This is also when you would get to. This is when you also got to see Davey Havok's personal style tie into the music that they were playing. This was a good early example of how Davey's personal style and aesthetic would be a good indicator of what direction the band was going. Now, what's crazy is how AFI came out as a skateboard punk band. They came out in that scene, and now they were able to be taken seriously and accepted by the hardcore fans of the early '90s. The only one other band was able to do that from at the time, and that was Good Riddance. For those who are not into the scene, it may sound like there's no real big difference between the two genres of music, but there is especially to the fans, simply because back in the day there wasn't really any genre blending of music. Each genre was of its own, and each uh, own type it had its own fan base, and more often than not, people stuck to the genre that they preferred and didn't really get involved with anything else. So this really showcased AFI's ability to be musical chameleons.
Hmm. Very true.
Yeah, and now we start to enter their horror punk era. with their fourth studio album, Black Sails in the Sunset, released in 1999.
Like
And
one of my favorites. Like
yeah, it,
this is like my favorite time of AFI. This is like their shining moment of glory.
yeah, and then but they would fully go into the horror punk sounding like an updated Misfits with the release of All Hallows EP, released later that same year. And once again, this may not seem like a big deal, may not be impressive or very adventurous by today's standards, but in '99, that wasn't a very obvious or practical thing to do. It's not like the Misfits were an unknown band that nobody liked, but that aesthetic wasn't very popular at the time, and they weren't universally loved like they are now.
True.
Yeah, and so and like that's
And
another thing you're
what
gonna see with AFI too. Go ahead, Lane.
and then, you know, an EP, I don't really think people do EPs anymore that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, like the way people would discover bands back in the day were those fucking CD samplers that you would get
Yeah.
from a magazine.
Yeah. And they had so many EPs. Like they have
Mm-hmm.
like literally every album they have an EP for it. And some of like really good songs are hidden away on those EPs. And All
Yep.
Hallows was an EP. It was just four songs on that.
Yeah. I mean, bands still do EPs. It just depends on the scene. Like pop artists don't really do EPs like they
Mm-mm.
used to. I know like a lot of the hardcore bands I listen to, they still do EPs.
Yeah,
Uh, but I think that's where it kind of stops. It's like with I think EPs just kind of still exist in just punk and hardcore. You hardly see it in like metal nowadays as well.
true.
But I think that's also just like the nature of like the modern era. You know, like things are so much easily accessible. You don't really have people aren't really out there like trying to sling CDs or EPs anymore. It's cheaper to make a 4 song CD than it was a whole album.
True. This is very true.
No, where was that?
All
Oh yeah,
Hallows EP.
yeah, How's EP and with the Misfits. Now, what I think what helped them is what AFI did during that time to make that stuff relevant again. And that's another thing I was gonna say with AFI is that they tend to be trendsetters and like really breaking the ceiling and like getting like when they get to the mainstream, like AFI was a gateway to like this type of music for a lot of young kids back in the early 2000s, if you ask me.
True.
But we'll get there. We'll get there. Now, AFI would stick to this style with their fifth album, The Art of Drowning. And once again, this is where we start to see a change in their music as it starts to become more goth. And it really does. Like,
Oh, I love that album so much.
it is. I do too. It's like, it's such a good album. And, like, the change, even though it does make a change from, like punk and hardcore to more of like goth type of thing, it's still super good.
It's like such a good change because Davey Havok writes like the best lyrics ever. Like he just all of his lyrics are just poetry that he's put like had his bandmates put music to. It's just so beautiful. So it the the lyricism is I think one of the most important things about them that keeps everything feeling like AFI.
Yes, that I agree with that 100%. And that is very true. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, going back to when they first started out in 1991, they were still in high school. and then they took a and none of them knew how to play any instruments. Like Davey just came up with the idea, got his friend, I believe it was Adam, and then they met a couple of other people, learn how to play. But Davey was already writing songs before they even knew how to play instruments.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just came out the womb writing music. I don't
Hmm.
know. He's just it's wild.
Yeah. And now we reach their breakout album, and the studio must have seen something very special in AFI because and embedded a lot on them because this was not a cheap album to make. It was produced by Jerry Finn and Butch Vig, who are known for Emma of the State, excuse me, Blink 182, that would be Jerry, and Nirvana's Nevermind, and that would be Butch. It was also the final record to be released under Nitro, but also it was released on DreamWorks. Like, at least that's what we got from Google and Wiki. Like,
Yeah, well, DreamWorks, everyone thinks of like the movie, but
mm-hmm,
it's actually a music label. It is. And it's zero association from what I've gathered. So,
right.
okay.
And that would be none other than their sixth studio album, Sing the Sorrow.
Oh, that's such a good album.
My personal favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a
I
lot of
love that.
people's.
Yeah, I really like that one a lot, and
Yeah.
I listen to that like album like every single day for like a year, 2 years. I don't even know. Like I would just always listen to it on my way to school because I had to take 27 buses. Um, and then my way home, especially when you had like to carry around CDs
Hmm.
before, like, I mean, the cool fancy people had MP3s, but like I was not one of those.
Us poor kids had
So we had
CD
to lug
players.
around fucking CD players and a fucking thing of CDs in our backpacks, which made our backpacks even heavier than all the 50 books we had to lug around. Um, this is before they invented the rolling backpack, so
Yeah, this is why we have back
kids these days
problems.
are yeah, this is why we have shitty posture. All of us terrible posture because we had books. Like books. We had to carry around so many books. But I just remembered like gosh that I listened to that album like every day. So it was like, all those Bla- Black Sails in the Sunset, Art of Gelling, All Hallows EP, and Sing the Sorrow were like the four AFI albums that I kept always in my CD case.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. I would always listen and sing the sorrow and shut your mouth and open your eyes. Like a lot back in high school. And I listened to the other ones a lot, but those two were like the one like were the go to albums I would listen to.
Hmm.
Now, Sing the Sorrow, it had a great blend of hardcore emo and goth. And I also think that this is where they went from being an above average punk band to something more iconic. Like, because this album really did put them on the top. And now this style was attempted before in the 80s by bands like Christian Death. And like when you go back and you listen to those bands, like you can hear it. But AFI managed to execute it in a better way, and they were able to take it to a whole nother level. And I think it was just because of Davy's vision, probably, and like
Hmm.
you knew how to refine it and polish everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like Sing the Sorrow was like every album was like it was like a play on a
Yeah,
stage. That's just how I always like pictured like a lot of those songs that didn't have like the actual music videos, which this was the album that got them music videos that played on MTV and VH1 was
and
off of this album.
and
They
views.
yeah, but I mean they did have other albums, but it was only on like you can you can find them on YouTube, but I think no, I don't think I ever saw any of their other albums on the videos on TV. Maybe a little while later, I think I saw ended up seeing Days of the Phoenix. Um, but yeah, I just always envisioned like everything w was like a play on a stage, like a performance all the time. Like that's just how I would picture all the songs in my head.
Oh, yeah, and Sing the Sorrow, it hit number 5 on the Billboard, and then it went platinum. Like that just kind of tells you how well commercially I would say that this style of music was accepted. It hit platinum. And means I had
Yeah,
quite a few listeners and a shit ton of people bought this album.
that was like their first music video, and it ended up being like
Oh
the
yeah,
highest charting single on the album. It reached number 7.
damn,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
Mm-hmm. Considering
Now,
none of their other songs had ever like made it that high. So,
uh, and like now they did lose some fans from their core fan base because it's not it's not a pure punk album. It definitely was a little bit more alternative as far as like their sound. But for every fan they lost, they gained like 10 or maybe more. And so like they
true.
didn't like they gained more from this than what they actually lost. You know, and then they released their 7th studio album, December Underground in '06. It would
Yeah.
follow the same style of Sing the Sorrow, but be it was a little bit more post hardcore and like I think a little bit more emo as well, but definitely like more post hardcore. It hit now this album hit number 1 on the Billboard, and now with just these 2 albums, AFI has done more for the hardcore scene, putting it on the map more than any band before or after. I would say, I mean, one of like they were pretty much kind of everywhere at this point with their music.
Yeah, this was also music that got featured on Guitar Hero,
Mm-hmm.
that Miss Murder song, which is a big reason why like this album went so high is because everybody anything that was like on a fucking Guitar Hero or a Rock Band, like that song just got played the hell out.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say it wasn't good, but that was a definite major reason why it got so high, for sure.
Now I'm not sure if it's this album or one of their later albums, but they were featured in like a Madden game, one of their songs. Like in
Hmm.
one of the most unlikely of places, you hear an AFI song.
That's weird. Was it
Yeah.
for like a commercial or something or what?
Oh, it's for like one of the video games, one of the
Oh, in the
Madden games.
Madden games. Okay.
Yeah,
They might have used it for like I was like, maybe it was like a ad, like a Madden commercial ad or something, and they used it,
yeah,
but oh, it was actually in the game. Oh, that's kind of
yeah. Now, if you want an example of what they did, look at the music video for the Leaving Song Part 2. It's like the most legit example of hardcore on the mainstream stage. And that's because they got a bunch of professional hardcore moshers, or like people, that are actually into the scene. They go to shows and they actually fucking mosh. Now,
hmm.
what they did to get the guys going is that they played Hatebreed over the PA, because like you can't really mosh that aggressively to AFI. Like
No, yeah.
like the way they were going at it in the video, it no like so yeah, it makes sense that they would play something a lot heavier,
Yeah,
and it was
that's
a
so
great
funny.
yeah, and it was a great way to give a nod to the scene. And it's a
Hmm.
scene that AFI started in, and they never really left, despite their success and a and constant style change, which I think is really cool. Like they always like in some sort of way throughout the years pay tribute to their roots.
True. I think this was definitely like a video where they were just kind of shout out to like their first. It was like
Mm-hmm.
definitely like their first album for sure.
Yeah,
Because they're
and
all
it's
in like suits and stuff.
yeah,
But then they
yeah,
later would come back to the whole suit thing for
yeah,
another video or two, I think.
yeah. But I mean, it's like not like some bands they do forget their roots and like they kind of forget like of the scene they came out of, especially when they go through so many different changes. And that's why I think um the difference is that AFI has never forgotten that, so that helped keep a lot of their fans. Whereas other
Yeah,
bands, like they go through these drastic style changes and it does sound good, but then they like lose fans along the way because they never really pay tribute to where they came from.
true. Very true. Yeah, this video is pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And then in 2009, AFI released their eighth album, Crash Love, picking up where December Underground left off. It definitely went more into the post-hardcore sound, and like in I didn't listen to that album that much. I did like it, but yeah, it was definitely like more post hardcore. And for those who don't know, post hardcore is just like that hardcore sound, just a little bit more emo than what hardcore
Yeah.
allows it to
The
be.
that that album had like that Beautiful Thief song, which is probably like one of my favorite and mainly solely because it's like they went back to like the suits and they just
Mm-hmm.
look so gorgeous in that video. They're just so hot. I was just like, oh my God, beautiful. Davey Haddock, you're beautiful. So I'm a little biased just for that alone. But yeah, like I said, I listened to the whole album. It wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. Um, but yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. And then
Only had two singles on that whole album, so it's like,
oh wow.
yeah, it's pretty low too. So you're just like,
Yeah.
eh.
I mean, I didn't hate it like you said. There's songs on it I do definitely enjoy and I do like, but like overall, it's just like to me, okay, this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now they would keep their post-hardcore sound with their ninth album, Burials. And the thing about Burials, like I got super excited for it because I was told it was supposed to go back to like the Sing the Sorrow days. Now, this album was
Mm,
released in 2019, but it kind of went. It kind of had some nods to Sing the Sorrow, but it had more of a pop feel to it, like with some of the songs, I would say.
yeah.
And so, like that's what kind of was like, I don't know, guys.
Yeah. It was
Definitely,
it was okay. I
yeah.
don't know. Like
I would. It's probably my least favorite out of the whole entire catalog. And then we move into 2017 when they release. Yeah, can't talk. Their 10th album, which was their self titled, or it was also known as the Blood album.
Yeah, blood droplets.
Yeah,
Vampires.
that album,
Just kidding.
like that album, and their next one that they released in 21, or their 11th album, Bodies. Like they were all like Burials, the Blood album, Bodies were pretty much all this sounding the same. But I gotta give it to Bodies because that's what I think they reached the peak with their post-hardcore sound. I think that's when everything finally tied together and like Davey got what he wanted.
That was their latest
Yeah,
one
that's
a
their
couple years
latest
ago.
one. Yeah, and
Skipped
so
right over the missing man.
the
It's
Missing
okay.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an album that came out in 2018. I don't know. I think it's Missing Man is a fab title for it because I think it was a very good one.
Let me see
It only had
here.
one single. It's called there's the one single is Get Dark.
The
But it
Missing
was one,
Man?
two, three, four. It only had five songs on it.
Oh, that's why it didn't come up.
Yeah.
Couldn't really find anything.
Yeah, I guess it would be maybe considered like an EP, but it's not. Um, let's see. Oh no, that was an EP. Never mind. Oh shit. Let's see. No, yeah, you're good. So that was like an EP between those two,
Okay.
which if they didn't release that, they would have been on like a really long break between albums.
True, but that's fine to me. Like, if you want to take a break, take a break. You know, doing music
It would have
stuff
been
is
like
hard.
4 years. Well, I mean, he also did a bunch of like Davey and Jade had like their side thing, Black Audio
Yeah,
going on.
Black
Um,
Audio, and what was the other one?
um,
Because they have two.
Dream Car. No, I think Dream Car was the the band. Okay, yeah, no, not Dream Car. I think it was just Black Audio was there. Was just him and Jade's side thing. I don't think Jade.
Okay,
That was it. I mean, Davey has done other stuff.
true. Now, also with Bodies, you could hear the influences of post-punk bands from the 80s, like I brought up earlier, Joy Division and New Order. And I would say that most of the core fans aren't really shocked about this era of AFI, but they could, oh, stoked, I would say. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Shocked. I don't know where that came from. Anyways, but that's because like like me, I really like the first six albums, like through and through. What would be your favorite era of AFI Lane and why?
Oh, well, I mean, I really love um between 99 and 2002. Those are my favorite. Like everything that came out, the three albums and then three EPs came out. Everything was just so great. That was like prime time for me to be in love with AFI and have them carve out my entire persona for the most part in high school. Um,
See them once, I will base my entire personality on this.
yeah, and that was definitely like AFI, like for real. Like that was really, I they're like the only band that I really had shirts for. I didn't really have any other band shirts for any other band because I wasn't obsessed with any other band like I was with AFI. And then I was the only person wearing AFI shirts in school too. So
I
my
had one. I had
oh,
one.
one. Yeah, I had like fucking I don't know, at least two or
Okay, you
three.
got me beat in the shirt department.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I, I just was like insanely in love with just like I said, the lyrics um on all of their albums are just so good. The lyrics are never bad. It's just the sound and the music that's paired with the lyrics, I
Hmm.
think is what happens. It just doesn't fit. And I think that's where um I don't like love all of their albums. Um, and that's just what happens, it's just you can't have you can't have everything sounding the same or else it gets really stale and boring. And I think AFI is really great at keeping it not stale and boring. And they do it very well, and they are probably the most successful band that has changed their sound, and they do it like gradually over the course of a few albums. So it's not just like
Yes.
one album sounds like this, the next album sounds like that, the next album sounds like that. It's like, no, you're gonna get at least two albums that have this sound before they start transitioning and blending that with a different sound, and then we're focusing on that sound for a couple albums, and then we're doing something different. So, um, at least in that sense, it's easier to keep up with them, I think. And that's why they have so many fans that have followed them from the beginning all the way till now, because it they make it easy to transition with them into their new sounds. It's not so abrupt and like in your face. We're different sounding music and band now, which
Yeah.
a lot of bands do, and it fucking like it freaks the
Yeah.
fans out because that's our comfort, that's our safe space, and when you change it, we're all like we can't handle it and we freak out, and that's where I think a lot of bands fail.
Yeah, like a good example of failing at that would be Metallica with Load.
Yeah.
Like they went from like what, Master of Puppets or whatever to whatever the fuck they were doing on Load.
Lots of blow on load. I don't know. Who knows? We don't know. Only they know.
They do.
And if you say anything, Lars will come for you.
Hey, damn Napster using pieces of shit.
But yeah, so then the other thing about AFI is there's a few artists that have like come on and done like vocals with them because they were like in Nitro Records for so long.
Hmm.
And that's like the Offspring's like own personal record company, record label that they'll get a lot of like guest vocals, and like they'll help out with like music and all the stuff from like people and from the Offspring. So sometimes you'll like be listening and then you'll just hear like like the voice, and you're like, what? It took me a while to like realize that in one of the singles from Black Sails in the Sunset, it's like the lead singer from the Offspring is doing like backup vocals in like one of those songs. It's
Yeah.
and then Tiger Army, like the lead singer and Davey Havok are really good friends, so like
Hmm.
they'll go back and forth and do vocals for like each other's stuff too. So I always thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really did like their like horror punk or horror like era with like All Hallows EP and then Art of Drowning. Um, Both great. And I don't know if you know, but like Davey Havok is like a huge fan of The Nightmare Before Christmas. And that's
Yes.
like, yeah, so he based like the artwork and a lot of stuff is like inspired from The Nightmare Before Christmas, which was always super fun. And I was obsessed with that movie in high school. So of course I was like, oh my God, we have so much in common. Like all the sus teenage girls are like,
Somebody, what, total fangirl for this dude?
yeah. Oh, I'm still fangirl for Davey Havok. I saw him like a couple months ago, a month ago or so, a month and a half ago, and I
Something
sobbed
like
like a
that.
baby. It was like maybe a month ago, month
Yeah,
and a
it
half.
was it was after we saw Lorna.
Yeah, yeah. And I
And then
cried. I cried for like through like they played for like 40. 45 minutes because they were the opener. It was Black
Hmm.
Audio. And fucking cried through like probably first like 10, 10, 15 minutes of them being 10, 12 minutes of them being on stage.
Damn it, I love you.
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't screaming like that. Um, it was just like, I don't know, it was just like so over like you just I don't know. He's just like so magical. It's like hard to believe he's actually like a real person and he really exists.
And there's people like that out there. It's like, how do you even exist?
Yeah, he's such a great performer and he's like such a great showman and his voice is just so beautiful.
He does have a great voice, and
Such a great
like
voice.
I think there's uh like 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 one of my favorite things when I first discovered this band, and the way I discovered them was like I actually I heard "Girls Not Great" on the radio, and
Hmm.
then like I got into a conversation with Omar about them. I'm like, hey, there's this band. He's like, they have a song called like "Girls Gray" or some shit like that, and then like Omar's like, yeah, that's AFI, and the song's called "Girls Not Gray." I'm like, oh, okay, and he goes, you should check out their older stuff. So I did, and well, because like I really like punk. And like that's why I like their first three early albums so much as well, is because like I just love punk music. Aside
Yeah.
aside from metal, like I punk music's probably like my other favorite genre. And like I'm like, oh, this shit is great. Like, and like I like and like one of my favorite songs, just because it's a goofy ass song, is I want a mohawk, but mom won't let me get one.
That's awesome.
And like, and the other one I really like from back in the day is I Want to Be a High School Football Hero.
Yes.
Like, they are,
Yep.
they're just like, their early work was just uh, like the woes of being a teenager and shit like that. And it was just like fun music to listen to. But then
Yep.
then like when you listen to like All Hallows Eve or Black Sails in the Sunset, Art of Drowning and Sing Their Sorrow, that's when like um that's when like they like were serious, like with like songs with God Called and Sick Today, uh
Hmm.
fucking Western, Days of the Phoenix, like you mentioned, like those, like some of those lyrics and those songs have like kind of hit heavy.
Yes. Yeah. Some of them are like also just the the last album that they have on that Morning Star is such a good song
Mm-hmm.
too. And it's just like him and a guitar, like electric
Yes.
guitar playing and like that's I don't even I think it's the guitar. I don't think it's the bass. Or
No,
maybe
it's
it's
the
the guitar and the bass,
guitars.
but I think it's just the guitar. And
Yeah.
it's so fucking good.
Do you like? There's a few examples I could think of where Davey really shows off his vocal talents, and like where it really shines, and that is with the leading song Part One, was just him and the acoustic,
Yeah.
and Miss Murder, because in the middle of the song, like when it's like breaking down and stuff,
And he does that
Dave,
really long scream.
yeah, he does that great hardcore scream, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is like a blast from the past.
Yes. But Black Sails in the Sunset is like like that album is just like there's not one bad fucking song on that entire fucking album. And then the EP is great. The Black Sails EP is fantastic. It's got um not that one, like a Fire Inside EP. That one is really good. It's got they covered the Hanging Garden, and they
Oh
covered the
right,
Misfits, Mania
yes,
Mania, whatever. Yeah. So those were really good, and that was all like around that same
Uh,
time.
there was
Um,
another cover that they did I really liked. It was by The Cure.
yes.
Yes, I just can't remember which Cure song it was because
Okay.
I, I saw like I saw a long time ago on TV, and it was like a small live performance that AFI was doing, and then I it was like a live cover of the song that they were doing. Hold on, maybe we could YouTube it real quick. I'm gonna look it up. Oh, it's like the second option. Uh, just like heaven. That was
No,
it.
yeah.
And that's like one of my favorite Cure songs. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. But no, I really like that Black Sails in the Sunset album. And it took me a while, like it took me when I was a teenager, I liked it, but I
Hmm.
think Art of Drowning and then Sing the Sorrow were like my two favorite. But now that I'm like older, I'm like, no, no. It's Black Sails in the Sunset, and it's I think low key always been like Black Sails in the Sunset is like one of their strongest albums because it's still like hardcore punky,
Hmm.
um, but it's like flows right into like their horror punk
Yeah,
too. And it's just like such a great transition album
between the
from
two.
between the two. It just works you right into like the All Hallows EP and then Art of Drowning. So it's just so good. And it just has so many like I said, I don't think there's a bad fucking song on the whole album. So
Yeah. I mean, I have the same feelings for Sing the Sorrow. And
oh,
like,
I love Sing the Sorrow. I have
and
that
I'm
album.
so, I could see it. You have the vinyl right there.
Yeah.
I'm low key jealous.
Yeah, it's like the 20th anniversary vinyl.
Yeah. I need to get myself one of those. And
Hmm.
but like I'm so glad that they put the Sing Sorrow Deluxe Edition on Spotify now. Because
Hmm.
now I can just like constantly listen to Synesthesia.
Yes.
Like it's like I was one of the songs they released after the album was done. It was like a bonus track after after they released it. And but also I think the singles are like the poetry on it, like with songs like uh But Home Is Nowhere, Celluloid Dream, um and Silver and Cold, like the poetry in those songs was just phenomenal. But I think like
Great.
probably like the saddest and like the most beautiful song they have is off the Sing the Sorrow, and that's This Time Is Imperfect.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
like the hidden track.
yeah, it's the hidden track, and like it's such a good song. And like this kind of shows you like right, and it's definitely not a punk or hardcore song. It's a straight emo song, and
Hmm.
it's so fucking good.
Yep. It's so great. I like that one a lot. That's a great
Yeah,
one you said.
and like, but like, but like to me, like the poetry on "Sing the Sorrows," what really speaks to me the most, like
Hmm.
like out of everything else. But
Yeah.
I'll agree. Like Black Sail's not a bad song. Art of Drowning doesn't have a bad song. And
Hmm.
that's the great thing about AFI is like what you said earlier is that the way they handled their style change was a little at a time. Like they would sprinkle in what they were gonna do like to out like a couple albums beforehand before making that transition. And so like they are able to keep like their music like running at a on a grand level without really losing anything. but it just comes down to your personal taste in music, and so that's why everyone can have their own favorite era of AFI. Like if you're not that
Hmm.
much into punk or like or hardcore and stuff, and you want to be into like the more emo post hardcore stuff, then like your favorite era is going to be their later stuff, you know, or
Hmm.
like me, like liking liking a mixed bag. I'm gonna love everything from the first album up till like Sing the Sorrow. I'm good. I do like songs off their newer stuff, but like I kind of want them to go back more to the Sing the Sorrow Black Sails in the back
That would
days.
be so great. I would love that. I would love them to go back like to like that horror punk and melodic hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, it's so good.
It is. You don't see it much anymore.
No.
Although like good melodic hardcore band, if you're interested, is Touche Amore. Like they've been around for a while. They released their newest album not too long ago called Nobodies, and it's such a good album. But like Touche Amore, and there's like one other band that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. They're like the only ones that I can think of when people say like, name a fucking melodic hardcore band. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's a rarity nowadays, and it'd be awesome to see that shit come back.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like such a good sound, I
Hmm.
believe, I feel. But yeah, I don't know. I just love AFI and I'll die on that. I'll die. I'll die in that hill on that. I'll die up there. It's fine. I don't plan on coming down off of that wreck anytime
Same
soon.
here. Like I have my like if I were to have them in my top, uh, they're in my top five. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
They're
Like
I mean,
depending on my mood, they my top like number one, number two switches between like AFI and The Cure. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day. One day it'll be AFI, the next day
ah,
it'll be The Cure, and it just flip-flops. So they're essentially the same level of
yeah, I like for them. It's like because my number one band is going to be Trivium, and then my
oh
number
yeah, well duh.
and my and then my like I have like number two is tied between Lamb of God and Eminence, and then the like three and four it like switches between Thrice and AFI. Like whatever my mood is, like which one is gonna be my favorite. Like who's gonna have number three or four spot? It's either gonna be Thrice or AFI. Like
This is true. Good. At least they're up there.
yes,
Definitely a top five band for sure.
but
Well,
I mean, I just happened to discover other stuff that related to my taste a little bit more before they existed, but or I knew of
yeah,
their existence. So
yeah. I mean, it's just like one of those things where I went through phases where I wasn't as into AFI, but then I'll go through phases where I like get back into them like really, really bad, you know? So it just really depends. But
yeah.
um like, to this day, like there's still a band that I like if I, whenever if I can get to see them, I'll always see them. I'll you know what I mean? I try. It just like took me forever to finally see them live, and now I'm just like insanely obsessed. And I was like, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So,
Usually like if I'm like going through like Spotify, I'm just like picking random stuff to listen to. If I happen to like, you know what, let's listen to AFI. Haven't listened to them in a while, and then it automatically goes, "Oh, we're going to just listen to one album." To oh, I guess we're doing this today.
yep, yep, pretty much. I guess I'm listening like literally for the month of August. I kid you not. I started every shift for the entire month of August with playing Black Sails in the Sunset for the whole month. They're like, well, I mean, I have 2 days off a week, so it wasn't like the full 31 days of the month, but it was a good like 60 or 70% of the month. I would start every day with listening to that album. Just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just kind of
like
did it. And then, like, halfway through the month, I was like, man, I've listened to this album every shift, like to start every shift that I've worked. And I was like, I'm going to keep it going. So,
it's a good goal to have.
yeah, you know.
Yeah, but like, so like, well, another thing I gotta say is that even if you don't like the band, um, you gotta respect for the work they've done, and that's because let's say you're like a just like a pure punk head, and you only like punk or whatever, and you don't like say you don't like all the other shit that AFI has done. But I mean, like I said earlier, they brought this style of music to the mainstream,
Hmm.
and that's kind of unheard of. Like, and also if you do and you sit down to listen to an album or a song, you're gonna find something that you like from them, even if it's just one song.
Oh, you know what? I'm reading right now. And
What?
I guess Davey Havoc and Jade did have another project, but I don't think they ever really did anything with it. And it was in like in 2014. It's called Extremist, but
That's
it's
who I was
spelled
thinking of.
differently. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, extremists. And that was definitely more of that's like a little
Straight edge hardcore punk band.
yes, that it was like straight edge. Well, Davey himself is straight edge.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs. I
It
believe
doesn't,
he's vegan.
yes.
Yeah. And like yeah, extreme. Like they were like the hardcore project. So if you want if you want like good old like fashion hardcore stuff from uh, Jade and Davey, there you go.
Hmm. Yeah, but I think they only did like, I don't even think they did a full album. I think it was just 3 songs.
Mm,
It was just like this weird like track that got dropped off. I guess there was like it says a number of cassette tapes around appeared around some California record stores in early 2014, bearing the band name Extremist. Listeners soon noted that the band's vocalist sounded like Havoc, and rumors began spreading that he was the group's singer. On March 17th of the same year, Jade confirmed on Twitter that Extremist was his and Havoc's project. The band, straight edge metalcore act, released its self-titled album in late 2014. But that's it. I think that's all they did, and I think that's kind of like it's like, well, let's
mm.
throw it back. But now it's like Black Audio is probably like the bigger of the projects. And then,
Yeah.
Davey also formed up with the band from No Doubt. No Doubt minus Gwen Stefani. And they called it Dream Car. And they have one album, and it's not bad.
Not bad, huh?
No, it's not bad. No, it's the band of No Doubt. Like they
Well,
used to be like they're not a bad band. They just
no,
kind
they're
of
not. I mean, I've like I normally don't like ska, but No Doubt is the exception to that. Like they're like
hmm.
one of the few ska bands I do like because they
Yeah.
are an amazing band. Like every member Gwen, including herself, they all did their parts and they did it extremely well musically.
Yeah. But it's not very ska sounding. So
Huh.
that's what
I
you're
thought
worried about.
no, I was kind of interested in that. I'd be like, wait, do we get a ska album with Davey Havoc? Because that'd be kind of cool. Like, I could get behind that.
Yeah. It's just like I think they just had one album. But yeah, it's just like, whatever. It's just like a little side project that he formed up. New wave synth pop are the genres
New
for
wave
that
synth
one.
pop.
Yeah, that's the genre for it.
I don't mind. I do like some synth pop. New wave. Not entirely sure what that is. Is it anything like synth wave?
Yeah, so it's like the reason they like their sound is a little bit different is because there that was like a rumor that like Davey Havoc was gonna replace Gwen Stefani as this lead singer of No Doubt. And
Oh,
so he was like, no, no, no,
okay.
I'm not No Doubt. Like I'm AFI. I'm just like we just want to like collab, and so then they did
Make an
that. And
album,
so
yeah.
yeah, so um but it's not a bad album.
It's like
2017 is when it
I
happened.
got Davey's like, all right, we gotta make sure people understand that I'm not with you guys. So
Yeah.
we're coming out with a whole new genre of music. Anything else? Like,
I think we pretty much got all the important information and then rambled on about shit for a good chunk of time.
okay.
Like,
Well, I
um,
got like one last question for you. If
yeah.
you were going to introduce somebody to AFI, how would you do it? Like, where would you start them?
Oh, it depends on the person and the vibe I'm getting from the person. Um, Usually it's with some like back Black Sails of the Sunset is usually my good first go-to, or Sing the Sorrow. Those are usually two, depending on like the vibe I get from the person. If I feel like they're a little bit more gothy, emo, emo especially or
Hmm.
whatever, I'll go with Sing the Sorrow. But if I feel like they're not very emo and they might be, I'll pick like Black Sails in the Sunset usually. But it just kind of depends. But those are usually the two that I will like introduce people to. I think my new coworker that I got, I think I played well. She listened to Black Sails on the Sunset every morning for two like
She
eight
didn't get a
shifts. Yeah, like
choice.
she did. Yeah, she like had to listen to them, and then I put their albums on a lot, so she's listened to like a lot of like AFI now and whatever. So but I introduced her with Black Sails because that would be the first thing I would put on like 11 a.m. to play.
Yeah, I would probably go with December Underground, not knowing like exactly what type of person they were. And that's just because like I would call December Underground like a nice safety net because it's more mainstream.
Yeah.
But if I knew like what kind of niche stuff that they would like, if like they were in the like hardcore punk, I'd definitely like here. Listen, shut your mouth and open your eyes. Like, just, like even if it wasn't AFI, like that's just a great hardcore album.
Yes.
And like, and then I would all like, but like I would also probably agree with you on like with Sing the Sorrow and Art of Drowning for like the gothy emo type of stuff.
Hmm.
Like,
Like if they mention My Chemical Romance, I'm like, okay, I'll put on Sing the Stars.
yeah,
But if they mention something like Green Day or
Misfits.
Offspring or something, I'll be like, Black Sails on the Sunset. Like it just, I don't know, so. Definitely either one of those. And December Underground was it was okay. Like I felt like it was just like I was so obsessed with like how they sounded that when that album came out, I was just like, it sounds so weird.
Yeah,
And I just didn't like listen to it enough to like form like a love for it, I guess. Um when it first came out. So that probably wouldn't be one I would go to as a
yeah,
recommendation just because I'm
yeah.
like, ah.
When it very first came out, I was a little hesitant about it, but then it
Mhm.
grew. It definitely grew on me, and
Yeah, I
so
listen to it now. It's not a bad album at all.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But it is a lot more different than what they did previously. So it's like meh.
yeah, exactly.
It definitely starts to head into like the sound they have now, which is fine. So, but all right, but I think that's all we can. I think that's all we got for you, everybody, tonight.
Yeah, I hope you like our rambling about
How
this band
awesome
we're kind
a
of obsessed with.
yeah, how awesome they are. If that's an indication of like, hey, you should go listen to them. Probably should.
Yeah, you can find all of their stuff on all of the platforms that play music. Whatever those are. Apps, websites,
hmm
whatever.
I,
It's
I
all
I
on
did.
there.
I would say AFI is a great like gateway drug into this kind of music.
Yeah, definitely. And if you just appreciate good lyrics, um they're definitely a band to check out because they're all of their are so well done. All of their lyrics are great. So
Even if their songs like "Mom's Got," I want a mohawk, but mom won't let me get one. Like it's like the lyricism or some is a little silly, yes, but it still works like really well.
yeah, it fits in with like the sound that they're going for. Every album that they do, it's like there's a certain kind of sound and vibe or whatever that they're going for it. And I feel like they're just really good at picking like the right lyrics to tell a story with every album. Music sometimes always doesn't match up with the lyrics. I said that
That's
before,
true.
but the lyrics will always be great.
All right, I guess we're gonna say goodbye now.
Alrighty, have a good night. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody, and thank you for listening to us talk about AFI, give you a nice little brief history on them, and then our reception over them.